I've never had time to do anything but build guitars and listen to them. If I could play them as good as some people, I'd do it for hours a day. That was Leo Fender talking to Rolling Stone in 1976. I'm Martine, and maybe some of you know I'm a guitarist, and I hold Fender products dear to my heart. My first guitar was actually a Fender Spire Bullet Strat, so I have a history with them. Although Leo Fender couldn't play a single note of music, his invention of efficiently made electric instruments changed music forever. Today I'll talk to you about his early career, his invention of the first mass-produced electrical instruments, and his later life. According to Encyclopedia Britannica, Clarence Leo Fender was born on August 10, 1909 in Anaheim, California. He started out being an electronics enthusiast and radio repairman. He built his first guitar at the age of 16 and would repair musical instruments, radios, and electronic equipment such as PA systems. In 1945, he opened Fender's radio service at 107 South Harbor Boulevard in Fullerton, California. It was at this shop that he started repairing pickups for musicians. Before, musicians would have to put a pickup on their hollow body guitar, but this was a problem because when they played in large dance halls, when they would play, it would feed back on them, so it's not really desirable. He also began to make guitar amps at this time. Fender saw that there was a need for solid-bodied, amplified guitars to keep up with the demands of musicians, which would lead to some of his most important inventions. Fender founded Fender Electronic Instruments Company in 1946. This is when he began to design the first solid-body guitar. It's disputed as to who made the first solid-body guitar, Leo Fender, Les Paul, and Paul Bigsby, but Fender made the first mass-produced solid-body guitar. The first mass-produced guitar was the Broadcaster in 1948. 2 years later, it was renamed the Telecaster because there was already another product called the Broadcaster, and that's why there's some rare vintage Broadcasters that are called no-casters. They don't have a name; they just have Fender on the headstock. Let's see here. It's a one or two pickup guitar that was quickly embraced by country players for its sharp, clean sound. If you listen to any early, I guess you could say honky tonk or country music, you hear dun 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 dun. That's probably a Telecaster. According to Fender.com, notable Telecaster players include Buck Owens, Muddy Waters, Brad Paisley, Keith Urban, Jimmy Page of Led Zeppelin, Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones, George Harrison of the Beatles, and Andy Summers of the Police. After this, he invented the Fender Precision Bass, also known as the P-Bass. It was named the Precision Bass because it was fretted. Basses didn't have frets, so it was really hard to get an exact note. And this helped, so it was easier to play an actual note. Solved the problem of bass players not being heard in a band. And as stated by rockhall.com, without the precision bass, music of both Motown and Stax Records would have been impossible to make. After the P-Bass, in 1954, Fender would release one of the most iconic guitars of all time, the Fender Stratocaster. The Fender Stratocaster is a completely different design compared to the Broadcaster or Telecaster, because it had a double cutaway, had what's called a tummy tuck, because you can put it up against your tummy. A tremolo system, or vibrato system, but they named it a tremolo system. It's what you guys probably know as a whammy bar. Let's see here. It was more versatile, so it was more popular. Fender.com claims that it's the guitar most people think about when they think of an electric guitar. Samash.com lists users such as Billy Ray Carson, Buddy Holly, Dick Dale, Richie Valens, Al Jardine of the Beach Boys, John Lennon of the Beatles, Eric Clapton, John Mayer, and Jimi Hendrix. You ever seen Jimi Hendrix playing at Woodstock? That was a Fender Stratocaster, or when he burned the guitar, it was like, yeah, that was a Stratocaster too. All of these guitars were revolutionary because of designs and how efficient they were to make. They were bolt-on necks, so they were easy to assemble and repair. Let's see here. These instruments changed music from big band music and ushered in early rock and roll. Leo Fender had success as a guitar and amplifier maker, but as time passed, his health declined. Fender unfortunately sold his company to CBS in 1965 due to health problems. Although he sold his company, he came back as a design consultant in 1970. Later, he regained his health and formed CLF Research. And through an agreement with two former Fender employees, he started to design and make guitars for Music Man. Important example would be the Music Man Stingray bass. After that, in 1980, with his friend George Fullerton, he co-founded G&L Music Sales, which would be his last venture into guitar making. Fender died March 21st, 1991 due to Parkinson's disease. In conclusion, I've told you about Leo Fender's life and his contributions to music, his early career, invention of the first mass-produced electrical instruments, and his later life. It was through his tinkering and inventions that Fender was able to change music forever. Without his instruments, some of his music we know today would have never been made. Although he never learned how to actually play the guitar, he was able to perfect it enough so other musicians could enjoy it. So, thanks.